Arturo Castro is the mind behind and face of Alternatino. Did I get it right?
Alternatino, but yes, it's the Alternatino.
Alternatino.
Next season they're going to be called Alternation. It's a catchier title.
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry. I was practicing it and blew it in my moment. It's the edgy sketch comedy, and I'm Matt here to ask you from Gold Derby, of season 1, what was the most important sketch for you?
It wound up being the gun violence sketch. We shot this sketch about sort of a class for recent immigrants where they talk about gun violence, and my character is like, oh yes, we have a lot of that in Central America. When one cartel shoots the other cartel, you know, when he realizes that it's not cartels, that it's just like random shooting, it doesn't make any sense to him, you know? And we wrote and shot that a year before there was a string of mass shootings in America, and we decided to postpone the sketch, and eventually it happened week to week, you know? And so eventually I decided to air the sketch because first of all, I wasn't making fun of mass shootings, obviously, but it was making a point about the senselessness of it and how hard it is to explain. And it just wound up being really pertinent and really powerful to gun control advocates. So that meant that I'm happy to have had a part in that during that super dark time in American culture.
Yeah, and the show's not afraid to take on these hot button charge issues, from gun control to immigration. How do you go about approaching a scene like that in a comedy show where you want to provide laughs, but also you're wanting to take on a big issue that sort of affects a lot of people's lives?
Sure. Well, you know, I felt like if you have a platform, right, and particularly if, you know, my point of view is that of an immigrant, right, and I can make a show that's just silly for silly's sake, and that would be super fun. But I would feel it would be responsible not to use the platform in order to sort of point at things that I feel are unique to Latino perspective right now, you know? You also want to, I don't believe in being preached to or to preach at people, but I think that comedy is such an instructive tool in the sense that when you're laughing, you know, you're open, you're a little less guarded. So the messages seep through a little more. And if you're enjoying it while it's happening. My main point with that was if you see somebody that doesn't look like you, and they're going through the same things you are, or they're making you laugh, or they're laughing at situations that you also find funny, then the hope is the next time you see them, you will see lots of a separation. And I really believe that. That's sort of my core motto. But we're not a weekly show. We don't shoot Monday and air Tuesday. You know? So we couldn't attack like a tweet, or we couldn't attack like really current subjects. We attack the idea, right? The idea of discrimination, the idea of ignorance, the idea of, you know, and so that's sort of was our aim in the writers' room. And I'm really proud of the writers because they did a great job with it.
Yeah, and I think that is something that comedy can do. It sort of, if you can get someone laughing at something and then they see themselves in what they're laughing at, it can change the way they think about an issue. Has there ever been a piece of comedy or something that you've seen that's made you think about something in a different light or in a different way?
Yeah, I mean, it was something that really inspired me when I was younger. Was Eddie Izzard is this awesome comedian, and he has this special called Rest to Kill, and he's in drag in the episode in the stand-up, but it has nothing to do with it. But he was sort of incredibly intelligent and historically accurate about his comedy, and it was just such a huge learning experience for me because I didn't know that you could be both incredibly intelligent and instructive and really funny at the same time. So that was really inspiring to me. And every week with Last Week Tonight with John Oliver is sort of like a new opportunity to learn something while really enjoying yourself, you know?
Yeah, very much so. When you are starting making a sketch show, particularly at the moment when, like some years ago, most sketch shows sort of looked the same type of format, the same type of sketches and things. Now we live in a world where, you know, you've got things from, you know, still Saturday Night Live doing fantastic, to shows like Documentary Now or Drunk History. Like the way a sketch show can look now is so diverse.
Right.
And it surely gives you freedom to think about, what do I want my sketch show to be? So when you were approaching it, what was the thing that you were just thought was the most important thing that you wanted for your show?
Well, you know, we thought about going down me standing in front of an audience introducing the sketch show route, but I'm not a stand-up, and I felt like we could mine more comedy from creating this narrative, this like heightened version of myself, to also tackle some subjects that I think were pertinent to me at the time. And so I believe it was a noble attempt to redefine sort of what the interstitial, the part that goes between sketches was. So that was a conversation. It's just, you know, I've always found myself to be not particularly what people always think about Latinos, you know, like I suck at dancing, like spicy food and I are not good friends, you know, like I'm not this volatile, you know. So we tried to poke fun of it in the interstitials through a character named Arturo. And it was a really gratifying experience, for sure.
That's cool.
My mom liked it. So stereotypically, yes, I do value my mother's opinion very highly. So I can't air anything. I like groups. So it was just my mom to do it, and I just went ahead and did it, you know, because I was smart.
Yeah. Yeah. To share the favorite sketch?
You know, she loves the translator sketch, but she's come to love this the sketch about an architect. It's this guy called Gerhard Fuchs that designed the most ugly buildings in history, and it's just such a like play on brutalist architecture that so much of it exists in Guatemala. So she does really like it. Although she's always like, why can't you just use your natural hair? And I'm like, Mom, I'm going through something. I like wigs. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, you do wear a lot of wigs. You play a lot of characters. What was the most challenging character for you to play?
Ooh, challenging character for me to play. That's interesting. I'll tell you makeup wise, and like what was just the Pitbull character was just like 4 hours, man, to get into that character. You got the ball cap, you got the things.
Yeah.
And it was challenging insofar that I was adamant about shooting in New York City, but it was the dead of winter. So, you know, Pitbull lives in Miami. And so we had to, and he's always wearing like silk robes or like really flimsy things. So I had to shoot in a silk robe in a beach in New York for like, I don't know, it was -4 centigrade or whatever, and pretend and still talk, you know, while wearing a silk robe. So that was really, we had to stop a few takes because my mouth couldn't move anymore. So that was really, it was a tough day. But you watch the sketching, you can never know. You think we're in Miami. So good job, production. And hypothermia. Yeah. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. What was the hardest sketch to write?
The hardest sketch to write? I think it was Cage-Free Kids. It's a sketch dealing with family separation, you know, and sort of about how we wanted to juxtapose, like if you agree with putting kids in cages, then like you're treating them like animals. So let's take it further. And it was about a new sort of ICE program where they're now introducing cage-free kids, and they're grass-fed and no antibiotics and all this. And it was really hard to write because we were really upset about what was happening, you know. So it took us a little bit to crack like an angle that we could also be, okay, this is entertaining as well. But it was really it was a protest sketch, and protest sketches are always tricky when you lead with message first. So that took us about a week to crack. But to be honest, man, like writers' rooms are really fun for the most part. Like you wake up in the morning and you go to an office and it's 6 other individuals that make you laugh, and you're all just making each other laugh for hours. And that obviously it's stressful, and there's deadlines and there's things you can't crack. But the joy of creation in the writer's room is such. Even talking about it now, I remember the moment of Eureka when that sketch cracked, and it was it's like watching magic, happen.
Yeah. Is there a particular moment in filming where you also felt that moment of magic sort of happen?
When we shot the translator sketch, I flew in from Portugal. One of my castmates from Narcos, and Matt Trevito is somebody I've admired since The Sopranos, and I just couldn't believe that they were willing to be on my show. So we shot at a warehouse again. It was freezing, but I just remember the entire day, just like, catching myself. You know how some moments you recognize them as they're passing, and catching myself, wow, these two legends are here, just like playing funny with me, and I was just really enthralled. And when you see, I'll tell you a moment when my mind really got blown. When I was starting out in New York, you walk by a street and it's closed down because there's a production, right? And there's trucks there, and there's crafty set up, and there's all. And I was so like, oh my God, what's it gonna take to get on one of those sets? The first day that we shot, I show up to the street, and sure enough, it's closed down, and there the trucks say Alternatino, and it was like these 60 crew members that I admire so much are coming together and giving us their time to do something that I came up with in a basement in Brooklyn one day. That to me was magic happening as I saw it.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Where do you find comedy? What do you find funny?
It changes, but like mostly in human interaction, man. I feel like, again, some of these subjects that we tackle, I don't feel that people are inherently bad. I feel that people just inherently don't know any better, And I love miscommunication. I love when two characters in one scene think they're talking about the same thing, but they're not. Yeah, that to me is always incredibly satisfying. I find family funny. I find, again, just human relationships. And at the time, I had just gone through a breakup for 5 years. This wonderful human being she was, but I noticed that a lot of date stuff came out in the writing because I was dating for the first time, and it's just I just found it weird. I'm like, what? So you talk to somebody on the internet and then you meet them in person? What? So I find relationships in general just really hilarious.
Oh, that's good. Is there a lot of breaking on set, or like what?
Well, it depends on the day, I guess. But there's the translator. It's a miracle that we got any usable footage. There's it's just whenever you get a new actor on set, or these people that we hire, New York has so much talent, and so there was a scene in this Bruno Mars sketch where my friend Finn Wittrock was in it, and I kept ruining takes, but from behind the scenes, like I was just watching monitor but laughing too loudly, And they were like, "Can you stop?" And I'm like, "Sorry." So there's a lot of breaking on set, but I also find that when suddenly you get into the rhythm, I guess Conan O'Brien says it a lot, but you take comedy very seriously. You almost don't even laugh. You're like, "Damn, that was really funny what you just did," But yeah, of course, if you didn't break, it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah. And do you have anything on like the bucket list for the show? Something you'd like to do that you haven't got a chance to do yet? Something you'd like to play that you haven't got a chance to play yet?
One day, I don't know when, but I would love to play Celine Dion. And it's just because she is just so unapologetically grand, and she's got these, she's Quebecois, and she's like, "Hello, babies," I don't know. I would love to play Celine Dion, which I haven't yet. And I also if I play one female character in the show, I have to shave my legs, so I might as well get a couple of them done, while these frondrous, hairless legs are abound. That and I think, coming up in our future, I'm going to play Antonio Banderas, and I've been wanting to do that for a very long time. I would love to get some of these icons on the show, I would love to get the Banderas, the Bardems, the Penelope Cruz, the Eva Longoria, all these guys to come and play around with us, for sure.
Yeah. Has there been a scene or something you've done that's gotten the most response from people, positive or negative? Like,
yeah, I mean, you know, the comment section is interesting. I mean, most of it, like, but I don't know, like for I guess the negative comments, I don't find them as negatives, but on Case for Your Kids, where like everybody just thought that I looked like Rosie O'Donnell, but they were really funny about it. They were like, "Oh my God, Rosie's back! She's back! She's back on media." The I guess the most widely seen sketch has been the translator one, but the Costa Rica, we have this fake Come to Guatemala ad that talks about Costa Rica. That in Guatemala and like everybody that watches it is really sort of a fan of it. It's the whole premise is like, in Guatemala we have an ancient saying: if you listen to the land, you can hear it say, "Screw you, Costa Rica," you know. And it's just about like being resentful that everybody goes to Costa Rica, not to Guatemala, even though we're so close. And like I was worried before I put it out, you know, like I didn't want Costa Ricans to feel offended. Like I love Costa Ricans, you know. And they took it really well. They took the joke, and everybody sort of responded really well to that sketch. So that warmed my heart. And also sort of I was like, I don't want to be banned from Costa Rica. It's beautiful, you know. Who knows? Maybe they're just honeypotting me, so I will visit and they'll put me in jail for making a sketch about them. I don't know. If by this time next year I have a long ponytail and I'm teaching surfing in like San Jose, Costa Rica, you'll know it's against my will. Okay.
We'll send help.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Arturo, thank you so much for talking with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, a lot of fun. All the best with the Emmy Awards and other honors that are coming up later down the year. And all the best with Alternation.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be the
Alternatio. Alternatio.
The feature film version will be Alternation. It will be all one nation. Hey man, thanks so much for jumping on.
Yeah, no worries.
Many blessings. Take care.
You too. Have a good one. Thanks so much.